of the community that we
Okay,
did for the community. But
sure.
yeah, if he's available, I'll definitely have him hop in. If not, I can
Sure.
totally do it solo.
No, no, I believe I've heard, and with your you've told me the story of your avatar, so I'm a believer.
Great.
All right, so why don't we kind of go ahead and get started here? So, hello, Omis. Hope everybody is doing well. I'm very excited to talk about our incubatee and partner, Vesta Finance. So, Mikey, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role at Vesta and just kind of maybe tell us a little bit about what you're building? And I'm going to go ahead and paste into the chat your kind of introductory Medium article for folks who maybe haven't had a chance to learn that much about you yet.
Sure. Yeah, I'll get started with giving a bit of intro of what Vesta Finance is. So Vesta Finance is from the ground up a fork of Liquidity. Liquidity is a kind of like Maker and Abracadabra, where you deposit for Liquidity it's only Ether, and then you are able to mint USD. So we are building on top of what they have built. We are borrowing their liquidation mechanism, the stablecoin model, and expanding upon that. So we're making a multi-collateral version where people can deposit, where we start off with three assets: ETH, REN BTC, and Geom. And we're also injecting a social layer into the protocol where people can participate in the governance, making the token not only a reward token, but also a token where you can use to vote on things like governance, overall governance, such as, protocol direction, um, parameters of the lending protocol, etc. And a bit about myself: I am the official janitor of Vesta Finance. Uh, Overall, leading the strategy, um, thinking about what's best for the protocol, what's best for any of our partners, which in this case is Olympus. How do we, best go to market? And a lot of the business side of things is what I'm mainly focusing on. I used to be an engineer at another UI product within the crypto sphere. But for this project, I'm mainly focusing on, the marketing, community, strategy side of things. And yeah, that's a bit about Vesta and myself.
So maybe tell us a little bit about your kind of differentiation between maybe, some of the lending products that Omis might have used in the past, maybe in the past Abra, currently maybe Rari. Where do you see yourself as a differentiator, given, the products that you're able to offer for folks who are interested in responsible lending?
Sure. So the product that we offer, um, from a user perspective, is quite similar to the other examples that we have talked about. However, on a underlying scope, I guess, if you look at it, if you really kind of look at the underlying mechanism of the liquidation mechanism of Vesta, you'll find that it is a much more sound mechanism compared to some of the auction model implemented by Abracadabra or Maker. So it's um, on a fundamental level a lot safer to use compared to some of the previous lending protocols. Um, so that is one of the key differentiator um, on a protocol design side. Another key differentiator is there is if we if we really read into how liquidation models work, the protocol actually has a thing called stability pool, People who are familiar with liquidity, they're definitely familiar with this concept. But essentially, this stability pool guarantees liquidation, so making liquidations a lot safer, making the protocol much more on peg compared to something other protocols where they utilize a auction model. And at the same time, it essentially guarantees yield based on liquidation of the protocol. So in a way, the protocol itself generates yield for your stablecoin if you don't have anywhere to deposit it. So it is much more of an interesting kind of model to this whole lending problem. So it is, I believe, inherently much better than a lot of the competitors.
And so we have a few pieces. So we have a stable coin, a governance token. You've got different plans for these products. What about fees? So somebody is an OMI, they have GOM, and let's say that they want to take out some sort of loan. Um, what kind of fees would that uh, incur, and then also what kind of LTV, if you've kind of got those models up. If not, you can defer that one. Could OMIs look for?
Sure. So we are looking at a couple numbers here. So I guess I'll walk through the user experience. Um,
Please.
with your geome, you can take it to Vesta, and there is no interest in the long term. However, there is a minting fee upfront. This fee not only ensures that there is some sort of value accrual to the protocol, but most importantly, it is a balance to the protocol's design, so that if like the stablecoin is getting out of peg, there's inherent fee built in to ensure that there is not too much minting going on. For Geom, we're thinking of mapping that at 1 to 1.25%, where essentially as a user, you come into Vesta, all you have to spend is that 1 or 1.25% right up front, and you're good to go. There is never going to be any interest accruing to your loan over the long term.
Wow.
And yeah, so what was the other other number that we were looking at?
The LTV. So let's say I have a Geom and I bring it to Vista. I've got let's say a 1.25 minting fee, and now I've got 98.75 Geom percentage, or what is our LTV?
Yeah, so that's something that we are still exploring. So Olympus, Geom is one of the first collateral that we'll support, and we also don't want a lot of selling to occur, say during somewhat of a price downturn. Um, with the liquidation mechanism of Liquidity, or rather Vesta, um, there isn't a immediate sell. Rather, when something is liquidated, it is transferred to the stability pool and then it stays in the stability pool. If users wants to actually just take profit, they would have to take out their share of the stability pool and sell that on the market. So without an auction model, there isn't as much kind of delta neutral arbitrageurs trying to liquidate. People are much more, I guess you can say, the people who deposit into stability pool, they're not as fast of traders, so there's not as much risk when it comes to um,
Sure.
liquidations.
So
So
it's a lot more of an equitable model for the depositor and for the protocol. It sounds like
that's right.
to be in the event that you end up being liquidated, not only do you have some time and some options, but you can also kind of make the decision to kind of walk away with a certain percentage as you would anyway in a liquidation scenario. So that seems like a much better concept for folks now, especially as we're all considerate about loan to value limits, and that's why I
Yeah.
asked that
Yeah.
question because of some of the recent market activity.
Mhm.
A couple other questions I just wanted to kind of flip by you. Obviously, you know, you've got some important folks that are not so secretly bashing your project in some way, shape, or form. You were shouted out on the Up Only podcast. I think you were like the number 6 reason. I think I
Mhm.
messaged you right when I heard it, and I think I messaged you in a lot of cap letters and may have used some language. But so that's pretty exciting to have an orca on your side. Um,
Mm.
so,
Yep.
what do you think? What do you think makes everybody that's listening, or maybe other folks? I mean, obviously, we're excited about your protocol. You're an incubatee, and we're closely aligned in the economy. What do you think makes it so different um, over at Vesta, and what do you think is the main kind of reason why people are so bullish on this launch?
I think Liquidity's model is just a overall much better model, given its liquidation mechanism. And Liquidity has done a great job building that. However, on a ideological level, they were restrained to Ether as the only type of collateral. I believe they're working on a new product as well, potentially a multi-collateral version of Liquidity. However, I think their approach to um, partnership and building, kind of adopting to the recent market, is not as fast as someone who could, someone who's doing it faster, which is exactly what we are trying to do here. So essentially, what we are doing is kind of broadening this new liquidation model, which is going to overhaul the lending market, uh, as well as making the stablecoin just a much more stable, creating another stablecoin that is overall better pegged, better has a better liquidation mechanism behind it. So there's with this in mind, there's a lot of promise um, behind it, right? There's a lot of money in lending protocols nowadays utilizing a worse liquidation model. And so what we are doing is essentially pioneering and broadening the liquidation model so that um, we're moving the whole market away from the auction model, essentially making all the stablecoin. Well, if we do reach a wider reach,
Sure.
in that case, we would be broadening the this new liquidation model, and in that case, we would be putting all of the stablecoins on the market more on peg. Um, so this kind of relates back to the last question, which I didn't quite give a straight number, but I can do that too. So for Geom, we're thinking of doing a minimal collateralization ratio of 150 to 175. Um, and the reason why I was going on and on about the liquidation mechanism is that with the liquidation mechanism um, set up in such a way where the stability pool is liquidating the collateral and not selling it, this lessen the effect of liquidation cascade. This lessen the likelihood of liquidation
Yeah.
cascade significantly.
So I think
So
everybody listening right now maybe is listening maybe even a little closer. So hopefully, that's a really salient point, is that this is a better mechanism, in theory, for preserving price as these kind of events are happening uh, within the pool and within the stable pool.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's great news. Maybe tell us a little bit about your launch, and as you can probably figure out, I've got one of our other partners in crime on stage. Maybe tell us a little bit about your launch and kind of approximately when that's happening. I know right now you just started to, I think you put out a medium about your Vesta virgins and the a little bit of a whitelist, and then you're going to be doing a fair launch, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So we have a lot of really great early contributors, and we have a whitelist going on for that. But right after the ending of the whitelist, we will be conducting a public sale, or as we call it, a treasury bootstrapping event where
Indeed.
people can come in and bid our token using the traditional LBP style auction model. So um, we will be partnering with PrimeDAO, which Ada here is representing, and it's been an amazing collaboration so far. We will be their first project that they will launch on Arbitrum, and so we're hoping to launch by the end of the month or start of next month, so quite soon. Ada can definitely speak more on that as well.
Yeah, and again, Ada, please come off mute. Exciting because, as some of you may recall, PrimeDAO is another partner of Olympus. So we're building the economy right before your eyes as our partners are collaborating with each other. Ada, tell us about this launch.
Yeah, we are also pretty excited because it's all not only Vesta is going to be our first launch partner, but it's also the first partner launch that is coming from Olympus ecosystem as well. And while we were talking to Olympus about our partnership, one of the benefits that they emphasized was that our DAO to DAO coordination tooling and DAO tooling was also hopefully going to help economy expand. And right now we are also seeing this inter-economy data interactions happening between Olympus incubated projects. So super excited to uh, see
Yeah,
this launch will go.
I think that's great. And so for those that didn't catch it, this is going to be an Arbitrum project. I'm really loving that we're going to have the ability to kind of bridge over to Arbitrum, our Geom. We're going to be able to work with Vesta. We're going to be able to maybe get in on the launch through Prime. And then we're going to be able to think about, well, do I want to maybe deploy some assets on DopeX through one of our SSOV vaults, or perhaps maybe work with Jones DAO, or maybe all of the above. Really kind of seeing that ecosystem play out. It's really beautiful to see. So I think we've covered launch, we've covered the tokenomics, the token, we've covered the lending piece. Did you want to say anything about maybe anything else about the launch, or anything else about the token, or anything else before we start taking questions? I know we've got a good queue of people here. Hello, all the Vesta virgins as well as Omis.
A lot of details are still in the work. We have the timeline settled, and so there's really not much I can add at the moment. A lot of things will be continuously released through our blog. So yeah, please look forward to that.
Yeah. So I'm just going to look through the Vesta AMA piece, and then just look at some questions, and then we'll start taking folks up. Someone said fee sharing. So Vesta has committed a percentage of their tokens to OlympusDAO. for being an incubator partner and all the things that we can offer. So we'll be enjoying their growth through our treasury as our treasury just continues to grow and grow and grow. Lycopolis, TLDR on these guys. There's a Medium article. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Hopefully we covered how Vesta differs from Liquidity. And I think I'm seeing a lot of people saying that there is a huge need for safer lending. So definitely agree with that. And hopefully people are comfortable with what's been said here. So looking here, just kind of going through. I'm running solo on this today, so I'm taking the questions and reading through your chat. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Well, I think at this point, I'm pretty much caught up, unless anybody else has any other questions. Really, just actually a lot of positivity in the chat based on all the things we're hearing around responsible lending, really kind of democratized liquidations, and minimal or de minimis impact to price in the model to the underlying token. So that's obviously super bullish. Let me see whose hand's up. Oh, Sammy, what's going on? Let me bring you up on board. How you doing, brother? Bring you right back on.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I have a question on like what is the process for bringing on like new assets as like collateral, and what's sort of like the thought process there for governance, and how aggressively do you want to be adding new types of collateral?
Welcome to the stage, and good to see you, Sammy. Nice to
Is there
meet
alpha now? Is this alpha?
Nice to meet you, sir. You have a great name. So we're in the finalization stage of our governance framework. At the start, we're likely to utilize kind of the traditional, um, one tokens, one vote model. However, over time, we're looking to potentially merge a VOLOC mechanism to our current tokenomics, which would better incentivize the stability pool, which in turn allows the protocol to be better collateralized. And so, with that in mind, with a VOLOC system, we would then need the VOLOC token to vote on these governance issues. Going back to onboarding new assets, so community members at the start, it would most likely be still the core team who are doing a lot of the vetting, doing a lot of the outreaching, establishing partnership, therefore establishing or onboarding new collaterals. But over time, we do see that the partners, or rather community partners, will take a much more active role in terms of onboarding new assets and having them become a part of Vesta. So yeah.
Dope. Good answer, guys. Yeah, best of luck, man.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
to
you,
see
Sam.
you, Sammy. Yeah. I think I saw a butterfly. Anyway, okay. So a question from the audience, a good one here, but wondering if Vesta has the same redemption model as Liquidity. The quote here was LUSD was minted out of a debt pool backed by ETH. Every time someone swapped one LUSD, they got back $1 of ETH. However, it would take that ETH from at-risk troves, and you could have ETH collateral that was within the limits of your LUSD borrow, yet still lose some ETH because someone redeemed against your trove and caused confusion. So great question. Love to hear how that works in Vesta.
Yeah, so that mechanism is still the same. Redemption is a core part to the Liquidity kind of model where it completely guarantees the price floor. And so we will be providing that option to all of our underlying collaterals. You will be able to redeem against any of our collaterals. However, it does mean the same thing for those troves slash, in our case, we call it vaults. Those vaults that have relatively or near the bottom of the list when it comes to collateralization ratio. So in in this case, we do recommend people to take on less risk and collateralize more than you can afford. This is certainly a trade-off for this redemption mechanism. However, it is a core part of the protocol at the moment. In the long term, we definitely are looking into you know, exploring better price floor guarantee mechanisms, just like all of the other things that we have on the roadmap. In the long term, we hope to further differentiate ourselves from the image of a fork and add in a bunch of new features, such as um, dynamic liquidation ratio and potentially adding a dynamic interest rate for assets that have much higher volatility. Um, but yeah, the long-term goal is to make a lending protocol that can onboard the most amount of assets, can offer the least amount of risk. Um, so, these are all things that we could potentially improve.
And then thank you for that. Hopefully that answers the question. I got that in a DM. Want to get a couple questions here that came up. Could you name some of your partners? I had answered saying that the tokens announced were at launch were already there, but is there any other partners that you've maybe already announced, perhaps I missed, that you're going to be working with in the near future? Or if not, if you can't name any, that's okay too.
Sure. So we are chatting with Redacted. Where's Sammy? But anyway, so we're chatting with Redacted. We're chatting with Frax. We're chatting with B Protocol, which they have already set up a integration to Vesta, as they have previously for Liquidity. There's a lot of exciting partnership happening. We are exploring a potential collaboration with Faye, although the synergy there is we're still actively exploring, but a conversation is ongoing. One last partner that I'm chatting with is I think there was another one that kind of is slipping my mind, um, but we are also trying to establish a friendly kind of relationship with Liquidity themselves. We do have tokens going toward the Liquidity stakers, although the mechanism as well as the snapshot is, I believe, already taken, and the mechanism is still in discussion. And most importantly, we are partnering closely with Prime DAO and Olympus.
Love it. Had another question about collateral factor. I just want to get clarity on this. So the question that someone had, and I know you've kind of answered this in a way, but when you get liquidated, is there? Well, I can answer this, but I'll let you do it. Do you get liquidated all the way, or is there some sort of percentage? Maybe better asked, what is the liquidation mechanic as far as how much you will be liquidated? I know that varies, so I'll let you kind of talk about it.
Yeah, sure. So, if a vault is liquidated, the whole position is liquidated. But when it comes to redemption, uh, it could be the case where part of the vault is redeemed upon, and not the whole vault. Um, Either cases are, like the previous question, not optimal. But I would say that because of the low collateralization ratio, especially on ETH and BTC, it's kind of not that big of an issue because you're kind of getting dollars on the dollar almost. For something with higher collateralization ratio, that's definitely a risk, but um, that's why we do recommend people to have it higher collateralized.
And then another question that came up here was, well, we've already answered how the collateral will work as far as whether it will be combined for LTV purposes or separated like Abra. So you want to just take that? Just, are they going to be combined? Are you going to be able to combine collateral for like a net or no?
Sorry, could you repeat that question? Kind of missed
Sure.
it.
Will collateral work like Rari or Abra? Meaning, if I deposit Geom and ETH, will they be combined for LTV purposes like Rari or collateral separated like Abra?
Right. So in our system, the stability pools are separate. Therefore, we've made the collateral types separate as well. So if you want to open a position, you can't really merge all your collaterals together. You may only do it one by one.
Yep. And I think it's important for folks to understand this doesn't absolve you of responsible lending. Just because there are things in place to minimize the impact to the pricing of the underlying asset doesn't mean that we should be kind of deferring responsibility, financial responsibility, always being paramount in any type of investing. Okay, so I know we've got. Oh, hey, how you doing, Drew?
I realized that I can no longer raise my hand because I have permission to come up on stage. So,
Sure.
I didn't know if you knew that I was up here. But I do have a question.
You have a commanding
regarding
stage presence, of course I do.
Regarding like the popularity of the 9-9 strategy with collateral types, like Ohm and forked from Ohm. Have you guys considered anything in terms of potentially the interface sort of discouraging that behavior, or just is it going to be mostly through education? Like, have you given any thought to that?
We don't take a active discouraging approach to that. It is, up to people what they want to do. To people can do whatever they want with their money. But from a protocol's perspective, what we can do is to fence against that through designing the mechanism to be as safe and sound as possible. And that's why we did not set the liquidation ratio of Geom the same as ETH and RenBTC at 110%. Because in that case, if a lot of people 9-9, that could potentially break the peg of the stablecoin and make people lose their Geom. So in that, yeah, basically in conclusion, we can't really fence against that through the UI. People will do what they want to do, but it is up to our protocol design team to fend against it. So
Okay, cool.
Anything else, Drew?
Nope, that was my primary question.
All right. Thank you, Drew.
You got
Good
it.
to see Drew, a fellow DAO member. Big ups to Drew.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for allowing me to have that opportunity. Appreciate it.
we're here to help each other. So Mikey, I know that people are just kind of also joining a little bit late, and I'm definitely seeing a lot of questions about this, but maybe just if you could remind people, so launch, you're thinking end of the month for Prime DAO to be listed on Prime Launch. Is that right?
That is what we are hoping for.
All right. Very good. And if folks want to join the Discord and learn more, we'll go ahead and post those links. Also, if you're not already, please follow on Vesta Finance on Twitter so you can kind of follow everything that's going on. I've seen, you might have already seen them. I've seen a few retweets from the Orca himself. But if there's no more questions from the audience and there's no more hands up, let me just do one more quick swing around. We can probably call it a little early. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Mikey. We're very excited about the partnership between Omis and Vesta. We love to see Prime. And I would just kind of take a second to throw it out there that if you're not already following the @Olympus Incubator account, we'll be kind of posting our Medium article on Vesta very soon. And so you can take a read to that and learn all about the deals that have been made and how it benefits the economy and where we're hoping to continue this in the future. So again, Mikey, thanks for your time. Did you want to say anything to leave us off?
Great to be here. I look forward to everyone trying out our protocol, and we hope that Vesta will be a core part of your portfolio going forward once we launch. So yeah, thank you guys, and thank you, Nash, for hosting.
Very good. A new OMI primitive, Vesta Finance. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you around.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Also, very excited for Safe 99. Just want to say
Yes.
from my personal experience.
Seifu 99. Thanks, everybody.